What's up everyone, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, insane people, and all that kind of stuff. So as usual, be sure to subscribe for more Reddit content if you haven't already, and let's get into today's stories. Was a fire extinguisher really necessary? So here I am making just over minimum wage, 15 Canadian dollars an hour, commuting 100 plus kilometers round trip per day to get a foot in the door in the aviation industry. My job was to tow 30 plus planes around the apron for a private flight school. One cold winter morning, one student and instructor are having a fair amount of trouble getting one of the Cessna 150s, two-seat small plane, to start up. Well, one of the maintenance apprentices happens to be on the flight line and he decides they're doing it wrong and that he can help get her going. So he piles a bunch of fuel in via the engine primer and starts cranking. No dice. Still more fuel. Still no dice. Tries the flood start procedure. By memory, no checklist, and still nothing. For context, this dude is standing on the ground beside the small plane, leaning in over the student and using the controls. I'm watching this go down knowing something isn't right, but because I'm not an apprentice and hold no maintenance qualifications or a pilot's license, nothing I suggest will be considered. This had been proven time and time again, and I was pretty fed up after quoting procedure and policy verbatim, yet certain employees or management just didn't care. For clarity, I was busy as hell tending to the rest of the fleet, but keeping tabs on this particular plane as all this was going on. When suddenly, I see flames wafting out of the engine cowling. So I do what I'm trained and run over to give the hand signal for fire while pointing towards the cowling. Now this situation goes one of two ways by the book. Either A, the engine is running, so you try to elevate the engine speed and essentially blow the fire out and suck the flames into the engine. Or B, the engine isn't started, so put the bloody fire out ASAP. They clearly were not getting it started and not heeding my frantic hand signals only a few meters in front of them. So I grab a fire extinguisher from the hangar wall and dash back towards the now visibly smoking plane, yelling fire, 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 followed by get the f*** out, as I pull the pin and hose that baby down. The fire is likely extinguished pretty quickly, but I laid it on heavy just to be sure. After all, there's 3 people more or less inside the cockpit. After the dust settles, I get pushback from some people on the maintenance side, the aforementioned apprentice included, about whether that was really necessary and complaints about how now they have to inspect and fix the plane. Thus schedules must be shuffled around and their workload increases. I referred them to the book by literally pulling the pilot's operating handbook straight out of the seat back pocket of the smelly charred bird and walked them through the multitude of failures that led to my eventual intervention and fire suppression. I finished that conversation by stating that personnel safety is paramount, and that ultimately not only was it a safe decision, it was a smart one with regards to the aircraft and how costly damage and loss could be. I made no apologies for stepping in and told them to brush up on their bloody hand signals for f***'s sake. In the end, the plane got fixed and was flying again 2 days later, but now with a well-known unaddressed hard-starting issue, which could lead to a repeat fire or near constantly dead battery. Here's to aviation safety. Had a woman try to cash herself out at a point of sale today. I'm a server at a restaurant and we were short a server and a manager today. 3 servers. No expo, no food runner, no busser, no cashier, no host, no manager. Basically, no help. For important context, customers pay at the front, and it makes cashing people out incredibly inconvenient when we're doing a million other things. We each had about 8 to 10 tables and every other table in the restaurant was dirty. It was a nightmare. Coming out of the kitchen, hands full, I see about 6 people at the door waiting to be sat. At this point, I'm questioning how badly I need heat this winter because screw this job. When with my own eyeballs, I see this great value Sybil Trelawney-looking woman behind our cashier point of sale, tapping on the screen. I stopped dead in my tracks, hands full of plates, and just stared at her like she had 8 heads. I dropped the plates off at the table and slowly walked to the cashier stand, still with the same dumbfounded look on my face. I say, "Is there something I can help you with?" "Oh, I need to pay." Her friend says, "She's trying to figure out how to use your computer." Both of these women are behaving as though this is perfectly normal behavior. As though I'm chastising a toddler, I slowly and clearly say, "Okay, if you could remove yourself from behind our cashier stand and return to the customer side, I can do that for you." The initial look of shock still on my face, I cash them out. They tip 20% and tell me to have a nice day, as if attempting to access a restaurant POS with a register attached is a perfectly normal brunch activity. Man upset he has to have a conversation with a woman. I'm a 42-year-old female. An older man rings my doorbell the other day and I answer it. He asks to speak to John, my husband. I see the man has a shirt with the name of the roofing company on it, and know he is trying to sell us a roof, which we actually are in the process of collecting quotes on. I ask how I can help him, and again he asks if John is home. He needs to talk to John. My husband finally comes to the door, sees it's a roofing guy, and says, "Talk to my wife, I'm in a meeting." He wasn't in a meeting, however, I'm the person in the house that deals with contractors and renovations. This guy literally rolled his eyes that he was being asked to speak with me. I said to him, "Well, you clearly don't want to speak with me, so have a nice day." He says, No, I will speak with you. I just am required to speak with the homeowner and I thought you might be his daughter. I have visible gray hairs, and my name is also listed as an owner. He then condescendingly starts to explain to me about how he can get me a free roof and their company will do all the paperwork. I said, yes, I'm familiar with submitting an insurance request. He continues, but you don't understand. It will be free for you. At that point, I just lost it. I told him I understand insurance claims quite well since I am a real estate investor with multiple properties and have submitted a roof claim before. And at this point, with the way he continues to talk down to me, I will not be speaking with him any longer or working with his company. And I promptly shut the door on his misogyny. Arborist destroys my property. I live in Florida and Hurricane Milton was devastating for my community. During the storm, my neighbor's tree went down into my yard, destroying a fence and landing on my pool enclosure. There was damage, but it was limited. These things happen and that's why insurance exists, and I immediately submitted a claim. The community was without power, internet, and very limited cellular coverage in the following days, but work began restoring the community. My neighbor came over to my house on day 2 of the aftermath to apologize for the tree, and informed me that they had hired a licensed and insured arborist. According to the neighbor, the arborist wanted to start on the top side of the tree, which was currently in my yard, so he would be out the following day to meet with me and give me a quote. I thought this was great, as it meant I didn't have to search for one myself. The following day, the arborist met with me, gave me a price, and I told him that before he starts work, I would have to check with my insurance to make sure he was covered. Not pleased with the delay, he told me that he was going to start on the neighbor's side. Growing up on a farm having used chainsaws, I told him how bad of an idea this was. He shrugged and left my property, leaving his business card with the words insured, honest, creative, as well as what he lists as a license number. A few hours later, while my wife was outside cooking on a camp stove, day 3 of no power, the chainsaws begin. He makes a straight cut. I call him, yelling, saying I can already see the pool enclosure beginning to buckle. He continues. I tell my wife to get inside and begin recording on my phone. The moment he moves the trunk of the tree, the side of the tree in my yard catapults. The majority of the pool enclosure collapses, the retaining wall breaks, the in-ground pool cracks, the roof buckles. I am left with over $300,000 in damages to my backyard and home. Livid, I call him, both to say I told you so and also to demand his insurance information. He says he will email it to me immediately and it is available on his website, but with very limited internet that was impossible. I tell him to airdrop it to me, turn on my airdrop, and wait. Text him. Refresh the airdrop time. Call him, text him, nothing. He blocks my number. Something I noticed that evening when wireless data networks weren't as stressed is that the website on his card isn't active. I also note that his LLC is expired. He doesn't have a license, and therefore cannot have insurance. He also got arrested in August of 2012 for beating his wife, driving away with the kid in the car, then abandoning the kid in the car so that he could purchase some crack cocaine. Suing him? No, he doesn't have the money to pay for any judgment, and I am more interested in making sure no one else uses his services when the region is just trying to recover. I buy his domain. I buy the domain of his first and last name. I buy domains for variations of his business name. I buy the domain to his mother and father's names, who are real estate agents. I build a website in 2 hours that details my glowing review of his character, his work, his arrest, his lack of business credentials and insurance, and the damage he did to my house, which all 15 domains route to. Theoretically, he could get a new LLC, right? I thought of that. Aside from the entire rebrand effort he would have to do, branded trucks, shirts, business cards, etc. I wrote a script that crawls the state corporate registration listing using his name and automatically purchases the domains and variations of any new corporate names he registers or is an agent or officer of. Over the past 2 months, over 700 locals have visited the site. My website is the #1 result on Google if you search for his business, his name, or his parents. He has stopped posting on his Facebook page and his phone line has been disconnected. Hopefully he has switched career paths. As for legalities, I don't want money for the domains. They are not for sale and well worded to only speak to what occurred. I did call the police immediately following, if no one is getting hurt/physically hurt, then this is a civil matter. Even after explaining that the structure was almost collapsed onto my wife, the police weren't interested. Local code enforcement was also made aware and spent the next week trying to see if his truck was in the city. No luck, but we are a small suburb city outside of a major metropolitan area, and he operates across 3 major areas. I did file with the Florida Business Bureau, which can carry criminal penalties. We will see where that goes in time. Whether the damage will be covered under my neighbor's policy or not is for my insurance and attorney to figure out. I am mad at them for hiring the dude, but I am far more angry at the arborist himself. Furthermore, I just wanted to make sure that I was this guy's last victim. Our insurance just sent an estimate the other day. Not even close to the damages, but we have a family attorney who is working with the insurance company to make sure we are made whole. It may take a bit, but I am hopeful. He has dealt with lots of real estate claims before, some major corporate ones too. He's got this. Doctor backtracks on suspected Ebola outbreak call after realizing the procedure. A colleague from work who is an EMT told me about this. One time they got a call from a family practitioner stating that they must come quickly because they have a patient with Ebola. This doctor often called the ambulance over all sorts of stuff and crazy diagnosis. We have a folder in the ER where we write down the patients she sends in. We call the folder the wailing wall. This was also during the Ebola outbreak sometime in 2015, so there were procedures if you had a suspected Ebola patient. So my colleague, knowing that it was this doctor who called in, told her that they will come with a special ambulance that is equipped for Ebola cases. He then asked if the patient is in a secured, sealed-off room with a secured door that they could get the patient from. The doctor started to sound unsure and hadn't thought of that. The EMT then asked if the whole practice had been sealed off, and if all patients that are currently in the facility have been informed that they cannot leave until the full team have come to contain the suspected outbreak, according to the contamination protocol. Now the doctor noticed that she was way over her head and stated that it probably wasn't Ebola anyways. In the end, the patient was taken normally to the ER for the fever he or she got, and it was revealed that the patient hadn't even been near a country with an Ebola outbreak. And that's going to be it for today, friends. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit shenanigans. So take care, and I'll see you next time.